Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk. In this episode, we're here at our Istanbul office with Cameron Deggin. Cameron, welcome.
Hello.
How's it going?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good. You know, today we'll be talking about amazing things that are happening in Turkey, despite all the negativity in and around the world. I have just checked the tourism numbers. This year, hopefully, we'll be closing at 47 million tourists.
Okay.
Coming to Turkey. When we look at the list of the past numbers of tourism, in 2019 we see that it peaks around 51 million.
I think that's the highest ever.
Correct.
For Turkey, is
Correct.
it?
Yes.
I think you started recording the numbers from 2003. Am I right?
Right. That's correct.
And what was it in 2003?
In 2003, it was 16 million.
So from 16 million tourists in 2003, in 2019, sort of 15, 16 years on, it goes up to what, 57 million?
Yes, 51 million. 51
million.
Yeah.
So,
right.
yeah.
It's a considerable increase.
Very, very big increase, yeah.
Then we experienced a dip in 2020 because of COVID. And 2021 was a year that it rebounded. In 2022, we're hitting 47 million tourists. That's the expectation. So far, we've already crossed, up until June, we've already crossed over 20 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we have the full summer period
right
ahead of us, because I think by June it was about 22 million, which means that, it's the beginning of summer, which there's going to be a peak.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't actually surprise me if we hit 50 million by the end of this year.
That's possible. Yeah. And when we look at what's interesting here in this data is that this year we're expecting the highest number, the highest tourism revenue, $37 billion US directly from tourism, which was, even if we close the year with the lowest number than 2019, which was $34.5 billion, we're still experiencing a good revenue increase in that. What do you think about it when you look at these numbers?
Well, certainly the numbers indicate growth. The popularity of Turkey as a tourism destination is on the increase. Even in 2016, which is, I had a very quick look at the figures that you pulled up. Even in 2016, where we had an interesting episode in our last 20 years chapter in Turkey, we had a coup attempt in 2016, which was most unsuccessful one, obviously. Yeah. But this is big news. It's kind of a bit of a scandal, to say the least, right?
Course.
You don't expect to have coup attempts in the developed world. Even then, there is obviously a dip in tourism numbers that particular year, because the attempt happened in July, sort of the peak period of tourism. But despite that, if you look at the numbers, the very next year, in 2017, they jump back up. People will come to Turkey because it's a desirable destination, it's a desirable country. And obviously the figures are very much in support of that. Yeah.
When I look at the data, one thing that is interesting in this data, although the number is quite high, this year we're expecting to close with 47 million tourists. But when you look at the revenue, it's $37 billion. So that's, that's a relatively low number. We're not really talking about... Turkey is, yes, it's an affordable country, and affordability is also one of the, driving forces for these numbers, but still 37 billion for revenue extracted out of 47 million tourists is a little low, isn't it?
It is, and certainly it's a challenge for Turkey as a whole to work on that, to kind of elevate the image of Turkey as a for destination tourism. So what I mean by that is, yes, it's a place in the sun. Yes, it has, if I'm not mistaken, the longest Mediterranean coastline, one of the longest. Beautiful climate. It has it all for people to flock themselves to Turkey as tourists. And it's not just the bucket and spade sort of brigade, if you like, the sun seekers, but it's also, we have cultural tourism, we have medical tourism, we have all forms of tourism. Yet, if you look at the revenue spent per head, which is what you're talking about, the numbers of tourists, as opposed to the tourism revenue, so the revenue, average revenue spent per head, one would have hoped that it was higher. In other words, one would have hoped that we had elevated the image of Turkey and as a premium destination, as opposed to an affordable destination. As it is, Turkey is an affordable tourism destination, just like its real estate sector.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, it's an affordable real estate sector. Now, that's a good thing. Certainly, being affordable is a good thing, because that means that more and more people can afford it. But I think it also represents or presents, let's say, people with opportunities.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a lot of room for improvement in Turkey in terms of tourism. To go up that, I don't know what the right expression would be. Would it be the value chain? Probably not. But, to go up and become more of a premium destination.
Yeah.
In fact, we have already started seeing that happening in certain patches of the country, such as in Bodrum. Certainly there are resorts and there is a form and shape of tourism in Bodrum that is, in fact, as premium as it gets.
Right.
I think the idea is to take that and kind of expand it a little bit to other parts of the country. So, yes, this is a big enough country to be able to give you affordable tourism, but as well as a destination tourism, like a premium tourism. And I would very much like to see that. And I can see in the last 5-6 years, maybe in the last 10 years even, that is happening.
Yes.
Prime examples of that, Yalıkavak Marina, certainly a premium marina. Places like the Paradise Bay area in Bodrum, where you have the Mandarin Oriental. Bulgari is now putting their name there too. Four Seasons opening up a beautiful high-end resort. So these things are happening, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. They're happening, but only in isolated places. So I think as the image of Turkey improves, and as it is being seen more and more as a destination tourism area, I think we're going to be seeing that average revenue, tourism revenue per head, going up.
Yeah.
Which is all music to our ears, really.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's this is one of the ambitions of the government. So they basically want to push up the tourism revenue as well as the number, but more so.
Exactly.
On the
it isn't
side.
just a number.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not, as they say, quality as opposed to quantity. We want the numbers for sure, because we're a big enough country. We can sustain the numbers. But we actually want the quality as well. So we don't necessarily want to go down the path as, a fully all-inclusive, eat as much as you can, drink as much as you can type tourism. We have enough space and enough of a coastline to sustain that. And yes, in a balanced tourism model, we need that. But we also need the higher end tourism as well, whether it be skiing, winter tourism, and we have the resorts for that too, and they are being developed, or whether it be boating and yachting, which certainly Turkey has some of the finest bays and coves along the Mediterranean and Aegean for that.
Right.
So we want to see those revenues going up also. So a balanced type of tourism.
Definitely, and works, in order to get there, works are in place.
They are.
We have, for example, recently we have the opening of Galata port in Istanbul.
What a phenomenal port.
It's massive.
Do you know what?
Beautiful.
It's not just the size of it; it's the design of it. It's the ambience of it as you walk by the port, and then you've got the cafes and restaurants and the boutiques, the shops all around. It really is a very, very tastefully done project.
Of
the
course.
Galata Port project, which already started bringing in quite a bit of funds, tourism funds, but it also started bringing in sort of developments around that area, the Galata Port area. In fact, only last week I was driving in that area, Galata Port area. We had dinner there with a friend, and we were walking in between the two bridges that connect that area, sort of Halic, the Golden Horn, that connect the two sides of the Golden Horn. Because Galata Port is, if you like, in Caracas, sort of here, and then as you walk down from Galata Port, you come to Galata Bridge, and then about half a kilometer or maybe a kilometer away is Atatürk Bridge. Yeah. These two bridges over the Golden Horn. You know what I noticed? I noticed that despite the fact that you have a world-class marina port, as Galata Port in Caracas, only a short walk away in between those two bridges, the area still needs a lot of regeneration and a lot of renovation. It's like the entire area in between those two bridges, beautiful area. Bosphorus one side, Golden Horn the other side. It needs a lot of regeneration still. It's all very dilapidated. It's all very run down, which, as I was walking by, I was looking around and I was thinking opportunity. There's so many opportunities because the Galata Port has come all the way. So it's only a short hop away I'm talking about. Very dilapidated. So it's a matter of time before money starts pouring into that area, where it's a matter of time before we start seeing people buying up those old blocks, knocking them down or renovating them and regenerating the area. That certainly is an opportunity waiting, almost a gold mine waiting to be dug out there.
100%.
And you know what? There are many other places. So with all these interesting developments coming, in the vicinity, people need to be looking out for things to do in the vicinity.
Galata Port, in total, the expected number of visitors is 32 million a year. 7 million of them are tourists coming from the cruise ships there. So cruise ship tourism was something that we had before, but prior to Galata Port, it wasn't really up there for Istanbul.
Not for Istanbul, it was more Kuşadası, Antalya,
Izmir,
a little
maybe.
bit Bodrum, Izmir, sort of. It was the south coast,
But Istanbul is now becoming a destination for cruise ships. You're talking about 7 million tourists annually. Add that onto the already high numbers that are reaching at 50 million. This country's population is only 80 million. So I mean that's a quite significant number. And places as you just described, Yalıkavak Marina and all the amenities there, and Bodrum in general, and Galata Port and etc. are definitely attempts to increase the but revenue per head. That is spent by tourists. I mean, coming from that, let's just now talk about real estate, right? From a real estate investor's perspective, knowing this information, what would you do, or what would be your advice to our clients?
I mean, Alaattin, looking at it purely from sort of tourism viewpoint, and how the trends in international tourism are changing. Certainly, there's a massive change in international tourism. In the old days, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if you booked a holiday in Turkey, in Italy, in the US, sort of as an overseas tourist, you would most certainly go to either a resort or a hotel. So you would definitely want the backup and and the sustainability of resort type places. So you go with masses, you book in with a group of people. In other words, you're in the hands of the industry. Hotels. Nowadays, that is changing, obviously thanks to the online revolution. People do not necessarily require the backup and the support of being in the hands of tourism industry anymore. They can literally go their own way. You know, have you heard of an expression, a gap year?
A gap year.
A gap year. A gap year is where you finish high school, you're at the age of 17, 18, and then you're about to get onto university.
Right.
And then you take a year off.
Yeah.
And you're young, so
Travel the world.
you don't have much money in your pocket, so you do it with a rucksack. Backpackers mentality. You go traveling around the world with a backpack, and you stay wherever you stay. Okay, now take that concept, because it's an amazing concept for young people. It's educational. You explore the world. Now, in a very strange way, modern tourism in a premium segment is taking that shape.
Wow.
They're not necessarily taking, a backpack and traveling the world as students, but what they're doing is they're not necessarily falling into the hands of the industry. They are booking their Airbnb. They're booking this lovely, authentic looking apartment in Barcelona, in Rome, in Paris, or in LA, in Istanbul now. And I'm talking urban tourism right now.
Right.
And instead of going to a 5-star hotel or a 4-star hotel, which, let's face it, wherever you are, they're pretty much the same. Not only the same name, but the same service, the same kind of style. But people want to taste and fully liberate themselves from the hands of the industry. That's the real premium now. And that's the real experience, that more and more and more people safely are doing so nowadays, even if it's a country they had never been before. Because again, thanks to online revolution, everything is there and transparent. You can read the testimonials, you can see 1,001 pictures, you know what you're getting pretty much.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is, there is a move away from the industry. What is the industry? The hotels, the chains, to more boutique and to more authentic, that little apartment in a corner with the lovely pavement next to it, with a little cafe underneath it, that you can feel the streets, feel the country, the city that you're visiting. So why am I saying all that? Well, Istanbul is certainly becoming more popular. Have you seen the size of those cruise ships that dock at Galata port?
It's like a city.
10 stories high, some of them. I think they can easily accommodate 5,000-6,000 people, if not more.
In some cases, more than that.
But I think so. So what I'm trying to say is, there are more and more tourists coming to Istanbul, and most of them have got amazingly positive experiences. Well, wouldn't you? Because those cruise ships, they sailed through the Bosphorus all the way down to Karaköy.
Right.
So whatever they see around them as they're sailing through the Bosphorus is beauty after beauty after beauty, because they're not seeing the ghettos of Istanbul. They're seeing the Bosphorus, the finest parts of Istanbul. And you know what? It is breathtaking when you sail through the Bosphorus.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful cities to sail through. In fact, it's the only city where you can sail through via sea.
In between continents.
In between continents. Yeah. Not just in between a country, in between two continents, tying the two continents. So what I'm saying is, imagine that experience, and then you've come to Istanbul, you fell in love with it, and most people who are doing those cruise ships to Istanbul, they've got nothing but positive experiences to talk about Istanbul.
Right.
Okay? And then what do you do next? Next year, you come as a tourist. You want to explore the city. You're not really going to go to a hotel. You're going to book an Airbnb.
Right.
You're going to book a short-term rental. What I'm trying to say is that segment of the market, short-term rental segment, particularly in city centers, do not go outside city centers. In city centers, the more authentic, the more touristic parts of the city centers are going to go up, the demand for them. So that's certainly one thing, one segment people should be looking out for.
Yeah. So
Short-term rental segment. So if you're coming in as an investor looking for strong capital growth, but at the same time you'd like to generate stable and good rental income, and you don't mind the short-term lettings, because let's face it, short-term lettings are a lot more demanding than letting your property out on a yearly contract,
Of course.
then you know what? Look out for those types of properties in Beşiktaş, in Şişli, in Beyoğlu. You know, those types of central areas within very easy access to incoming tourism that you can rent out on Airbnb, or I use the word Airbnb because it's something everyone
Sure,
understands what it means.
yeah.
But really and truly what we mean by Airbnb is short-term lettings.
right.
Anything from 3 days to a week to 2 weeks, maybe to
Yeah.
a month, but
Yeah.
short-term lettings. One, the premiums that you can charge on short-term lettings are certainly at least 3-4 times what you could charge sort of the average monthly that you would get on an annual letting. So if you manage it well, it's very lucrative if you
Of
manage it
course,
very
of
well.
course.
So these types of properties in certain areas, in the city centers, ideal for it.
Definitely. I mean, real estate is all about value, and if you can, certainly the market, especially the Istanbul property market, is enjoying an upward trajectory. The prices are going up, you know,
Yeah.
altogether. But what we try to do in this show is to tell people, how do you rise above that? We tell people, you know what, go into under construction, go into urban regeneration zones, go into areas that have not yet been
Yes.
hyped up. And one of the ways
How to
is just,
beat the market, basically.
of course.
Yeah.
And what you are just mentioning is called injecting value, which means that if you let's say buy a property that is centrally located, that is let's say Airbnb-able property, all you have to do is basically give it a bit of an interior decoration, an interior design.
Well, obviously,
put some,
you know,
know, furnitures and
Yeah.
everything, and start entertaining the short terms. So you would have a history of, you know, okay, for this month I generated this much money. For this month I generated that much money. Ultimately, you are increasing your property's worth with the value
Yeah.
that you're injecting into that property. With some of our clients, we have done that. Do you remember this beautiful boutique project in Cihangir called Cihangir Panorama
Yes, yes.
by Keten? You remember
Yes,
that?
yeah.
So some of our clients have purchased little apartments there with Bosphorus views and everything. We went in there and they said they wanted to do short-term lettings there. So we got in touch with our rental management department and Designer Turkey upstairs. Designer Turkey went in there, did a beautiful design.
Yeah.
We have the pictures that we can show. And the rental management now is dealing with the lettings of the
Well,
of
I
the
think
properties.
we did the same thing for a few clients in Beyoğlu as well.
Right.
With a few apartments in Beyoğlu, and now we're doing up a few apartments in Beşiktaş, which are ideal for short-term lettings. So there certainly is a segment of the market that if managed well, dressed well, packaged well, would do extremely well in terms of rental income.
100%.
So one to look out for. Yeah.
Well, Cameron, thank you very much
Is that it?
for the expertise. Yes, for this episode. We have 3 more episodes. Well, sorry, 2 more episodes now. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think, you know, I mean, we have delivered the message, don't you think?
And what we're saying is there's a changing pattern and a changing requirement of the international tourists. They no longer want to be in the hands of no-name, well, actually branded, but almost no-name hotel industry. So they want to go their own way, you know, renting short-term lettings and really and truly experiencing the cities that they're in. So what we're saying is it's a good idea to go after certain types of properties from a real estate investor viewpoint, to invest in those properties to meet the ever-increasing international tourism demand, particularly in the urban areas in a city like Istanbul.
Beautiful.
So that's what we said. But is that the only message we wanted to give here?
Pretty much. I wanted to talk a bit more about, you know, the new Turkish economic model and how Turkey is using affordability as a drawing factor to pull in a lot of tourists and boost up the exports and everything. And this is the new economic model now. And as Erdogan says, that there's going to be no compromise on it. So for the foreseeable future, this is Turkey. Turkey is going to play on its affordability. Therefore, more and more people will be familiarized with what kind of a country it is, and the cities we have, the history, the culture, and everything. So as it is happening, as this is the official policy of the government, we're just telling people, guys, look at where the country is going, and if you're planning on buying real estate and investing into Turkish real estate, here is another segment that could be profitable.
Okay, very well.
This is Property Turkey. What else do you expect us to say? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, guys, for watching, and hope to see you in the next episode.